The road to Cheltenham. We are getting closer to the biggest racing week of the year, and probably the second biggest racing week of the year over Christmas has given us clues, maybe questions, definitely opinions. There was so much that went on that today we're just going to focus on the four championship races: the Champion Hurdle, the Champion Chase, the Stayers Hurdle, and the Gold Cup, and then we can get stuck into the novices in next week's show because we had such good racing. And unlike last year, when everyone was saying that Nicky's running scared or Willie Mullins is keeping his in Ireland or no one wants to clash against each other, there's too much racing, everyone seems to be taking everyone on. So we know what's what, or we know a little bit more than we did in 2024. Joel, there's only one place to start, and it's not with what you had for Christmas dinner. It's not with what you did New Year's Eve. It's with the Champion Hurdle. Constitution Hill is kind of back. Better days ahead. Brighter days ahead. Sorry, is definitely on the rise. And Lossiemouth, nobody quite knows. What did you make of it all?
Constitution Hill. You can only beat what's put in front of you, and that was the big thing. And I'll put my hands up, I back Lossiemouth. But I think Mark Johnson was doing the commentary. And after two flights, he was saying, I'm not sure about this, been ridden along, pushed along, just a little bit sticky. And you're going, oh, okay. So that was my race over. Many people have said, and they looked at times and all this, and it's not back to his best Constitution Hill. But, he's had a long time off. We've seen less of Constitution Hill than we have of Matt Humes, who once again has disappeared from this little thruple that we've got going off. But then it comes back to... Well, look, I'll ask you about Constitution Hill because you're the biggest fan. And after the gallop where, quote, was blowing out of his arse, do you think Constitution Hill is back? And is he a play at 5 to 6 even money?
It's hard to be full of confidence, only because the way that he finished the race, he was asked a little bit more than you'd like. And the fact that Lossiemouth actually wasn't miles away from him and finished at the same sort of speed as him after racing pretty terribly. But you have to remember, for all that Lossiemouth didn't race as you'd like her to, and Willie Mullins said the race was over when the tape went up, Constitution Hill was back from a year off. So he will also improve a hell of a lot. I think what I was most pleased with is his hurdling stayed exactly the same. Even if he wasn't quite as fit to go and finish the race and, he needed 4 slaps of the whip and he was blowing a little bit and he didn't quicken away by however many lengths, he still did travel at a strong pace that Burdett Road set and jumped his hurdles as good as ever. That's gone absolutely nowhere. So it may just be a question of fitness. And if so, I'd have to be with him in the rematch against Lossiemouth. And I do definitely think that's where I sit. If those two come up against each other, including State Man, then Constitution Hill is the winner. The curveball we got over Christmas is Brighter Days Ahead, isn't it? Because she absolutely romped it. And now it's a question of both could she beat Constitution Hill and will she even race there? Michael O'Leary saying we're definitely off to the Mares to pick up some silverware.
Well, the one race that everybody has a pop at is the Mares Hurdle. But imagine if you get Brighter Days Ahead and Lossiemouth in the Mares Hurdle, it's probably going to be the race of the week. Or it could be a complete, you know what I mean? It's one of those. It's if you take out Brighter Days Ahead and Lossiemouth, I presume one of them is going to be in the Champion Hurdle. One of them is going to be in the Mares race. And State Man got absolutely battered. Absolutely battered. And I'm watching it. It was like it was on slow motion. When Sky Sports races or Racing TV do the slow motion of where they finished, or Hong Kong or South Africa do that. It wasn't. It was in real time, but it was just so far behind. Now, I've had one of those bets that normally I would get a kicking for, and I'm sure, feel free to have a go in the comments about this. I've had an each-way double, and we'll come on to the reasoning in a bit, in the Gold Cup, which is wide open, apart from your favourite there, and the Champion Hurdle. Now, State Man, this morning, 12 to 1, right? You tell me State Man is not going to be in the first 3 because both mares ain't going to go. Constitution Hill may not turn up, right? So I'm looking for a top 3 finish for State Man. If Constitution Hill doesn't turn up, goes off 4 to 9 again. You know what I mean? Or we put in both of the girls back in there. And the other one for the Gold Cup, and I listened to Jamie Codd talk about this, was Jerry Colon. Which again, this morning, 16 to 1. So I'm getting 16 to 1 the 4 places. I'm getting 12 to 1, the 3 places, champion hurdle. And I'm thinking, I'm expecting both of them to be placed. We'll get on the Gold Cup in a minute. But Stateman's better than that. Much better than that. Do you not think?
And Willie Mullins were all running below par over the Christmas season. So, yeah, he is better than that. And I suppose you are right. If I'm looking at the rest of the market below Stateman currently, Burdett Road, Slade Steel, Absurd, Mystical Power, 66 to 1s potentially. Lots of horses that probably won't go or won't be able to beat Stateman. So, yeah, I don't think I could argue that he is your most likely third. I do agree that I don't think Brighter Days Ahead will go. I think she will go to the mares because they want to get a Cheltenham winner and they want to avenge what happened last year as well. Imagine if she went through her career and she was beaten in the mares novice last year. No, everyone only remembers it because they backed her, and then again she didn't go to the champion. She did go to the champion and she was second. She wouldn't get remembered, and she is obviously a top class horse. So I think they'll go and pick up silverware, which makes it a Lossiemouth Constitution Hill matchup for me. And as I said, I think Constitution Hill will win. So for me, he's your reigning champ. I don't think his price is going to change that much for a while at least. But 5 to 6. It's better than 1 to 4 that it was at the start of last year before we
All right.
look,
we're recording this 10:30 Tuesday, 7th of January. Give us your 1, 2, 3. We don't know where some of these horses are going, especially the girls. But give me your 1, 2, 3 now, and we can always pull it up in March.
I expect Constitution Hill 1, Lossiemouth 2, Stateman 3. Brighter Days Ahead not to be running.
Okay, I'll go Lossiemouth first, Constitution Hill second, Stateman third.
Oh, yeah. Coming for my mate. You're coming for my boy.
I'm coming for you. I mean, the value's there, and you said it as well. You just, Willie Mullins said it. Once the tapes had gone up, the race was over. Was not the running. And horses at this level, you can put a line through it. It's one of those awful racing cliches where you watch the Class 6 at Wolverhampton, they go, oh, I'll just put a line through the last 3 races. And you go, no, at this level. And also, is there a bounce factor with Constitution Hill?
No. He's on the rise. Anyway, that's our 1, 2, 3. I like this.
I was fishing there and he never went for it.
We've got 4 championship races to get through. We'll look at the champion chase next, and I'll read you the market as it stands this morning on Tuesday morning. John Bond 2 to 1, Gaelic Warrior, who was beaten 7 to 2, Energumene, who I suppose has had his form enhanced somewhat by Banbridge winning the King George 5 to 1, and El Fabiolo, who we're yet to see 15 to 2, and I'll throw in one more just for the sake of it. Ile Francais, 12s. Go and set some insane pace and see how he gets on. John Bon has probably enhanced his rep, hasn't he, without doing anything over the Christmas period, because everyone else hasn't quite done what you'd like them to.
Gaelic Warrior was staying on well, but it was also really foggy as well. If that had been, again, like a standard claiming handicap or whatever in Ireland, you'd have gone, oh, there's some right jiggery pokery going on there. As they emerged from the gloom and this well-backed Joseph O'Brien horse and it won. Gaelic Warrior.
What do you make of him? He's interesting, isn't he? Because, I mean, last season, or at the start of this season, he was favourite for the King George, and that's where he was supposed to go, over 3 miles. And then suddenly he's not a 3-miler anymore. We're going to go 2. Now he's got beaten at 2. Is he not a 2-miler? What is his best trip? He obviously was absolutely incredible in the Arkle last year over 2. But he could go to any of we could go to the Champion Chase or the Ryanair for sure. And he just needs to put in his top performance. But when it comes and how it comes is up for debate.
Yeah, and he's pretty high in all the markets. To be fair, he's at the top there. But I anywhere between 2 and 3 miles. But I think what they're trying to do is teach him on the job. I don't think the race in Ireland was a massive deal for Gaelic Warrior to win. I think he was being taught a lot on the job. And if you win, you go and win. But today's not the day. It wasn't so much schooling in public as much as it was schooling in public. It was seeing how we get on. To be fair, look, he can jump a fence as we know. I would have Gaelic Warrior over John Bon, and I'd have Ile Francais over John Bon as well. But in the back of my mind, look, my two favourite horses go in this race, Gaelic Warrior and Elefronce, who was all over for the King George. And I'll not even go back there because I'll start crying and I wouldn't be here. I'll be in Barbados at a 5-star hotel. I'm not sure Elefronce will like Cheltenham. You know, when the horses race in France, I think Kempton's made for the horse. It's flat and it's quite a boring horse. You know what I mean? You do the same thing over and over again. In France, sometimes, where you've got your mounds and your weird ones and all this. I'm not sure Elefronce will suit Cheltenham, but it'll cost you, what, 12, 16 to 1 to find out.
He'll probably go to right now. I just thought I'd throw him in because I wanted to see you wins. But
yeah. No, I would have Gaelic Warrior over John Bomb.
You would? Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
100%. 100%. What I mean,
Gaelic Warrior at his best beats John Bon at his best, in your opinion. That surprises me. I think John Bon's a bit more durable and has been improving nicely and has tipped that table because it was him getting battered by El Fabiolo in previous years, wasn't it? I think he's definitely tipped that table, and we obviously haven't seen El Fabiolo. The one I thought made a nice return to action was Energumen.
Short though.
Yeah, I guess so. But he's put in some huge performances in previous years to win the race. He's been a super horse. I do agree. 5s is maybe a little bit short for a horse that we've just seen once in a very long time, which is why I said at the top of this, John Bon, for me, has enhanced his claim without doing anything because Gaelic Warrior was beaten. Energumen was good, but not like blow you away good. And here we have only seen him once in a very long time. Alpha Lola, we haven't seen Elefronce, won't go. Marine National was beat, Elite Tom, all these horses. That if there was any value in here, we've got to mention Solness actually, because that's who beat.
Yeah.
He's
is it a fluke? Is it a fluke? So if we look back 30 minutes after the race and Solness beats Gaelic Warrior, you go, well, that happened last time. Was it a fluke? And it goes back to the Gaelic Warrior being taught on track.
Well, yeah, I mean, all of Joseph O'Brien's horses were running extremely well, and all of Willie Mullins were running too bad to be true. So you factor that in as well. He put in a big performance. The one that just comes before him in the market is Banbridge. Could you make a case for him if the sun's shining and the ground is to suit, because he obviously does want decent ground? Could you make a case for him to go in the champion chase as opposed to the Ryan? Now, I know he's just gone up in trip and won over 3, but before that, he ran nicely behind Energumen and was coming with a run to win over 2. Now, if we've got Energumen at 5s and Banbridge at 22s, currently, I know this is because of it's speculating on where they'll go, but if you had any sort of price disparity on the day, you'd give him a big chance, wouldn't you?
100%. Right, you're looking at 33 to 1 now. If this was run today and the sun was out and everything was going, this ain't going to be a 33 to 1 shot. No. It's got the ground. Trip's no problem, they say. 33 to 1 is a ridiculous price. But I'm not sure, but you might have done your 10, 20 quid, whatever, because if the horse doesn't go, I mean, that's anti, I'm not patronising, but that's anti-post markets, isn't it? And we keep saying every year, everybody says anti-post betting's done. But if you look at these 4 championship races, there's some value to be had. And you're not talking about just some old dog. You're talking some really, really big prices on horses that if we knew, and that was our horse, we knew Banbridge was going, and it's in March, and the ground's going to be okay, and it's warm, it's beautiful. You can't keep Banbridge out of the frame, can you?
You can't. But for me, that's sit on my hands and wait and see what he does. And before then, he might even get announced. He's not even going to Cheltenham. That is the
it's the amble to Aintree.
At current, I would actually quite like to see him have a crack and let him race around Cheltenham over 2. But for me, John Bomb, he sat in his box, enjoyed his Christmas dinner, had a look at the opposition, and thought, you know what? Might be my year for a champion chase. Might be Nicky Henderson's year. He's got a right old army of horses, especially the novices, which we'll have to wait till next week. Right, the Stayers Hurdle. Your mate.
Give us the 1, 2, 3. The 1, 2, 3, and we'll play it back. The 1, 2, 3, as it stands now, 7th of Jan.
I'd have John Bon to win. I think Energumen is solid in second. I don't know what will happen with Gaelic Warrior, so that's why I don't really want to put him in, because I just feel like he might not even turn up. He's not value for me anyway at 7-2 to turn up. So I'm going to have John Bon 1 and Ergamine 2, and then probably somebody like Solness or Banbridge Main, Ilete Toms, potentially, probably Ryan Eccles. Yeah, but we'll have Solness, I think. Could even have found a 50 in there. No, we'll do that.
JPL one.
We'll have a John Bon 1, a Nergamine 2. Quite keen on that being a 1-2. And then a Solness in 3. Yours?
Gaelic Warrior, Solness, and Ergamen.
Well, it'd be a nice tricast anyway.
Well, in my head, you don't know where the Gaelic Warrior is going, but also John Bon. I know he's not Constitution Hill, so he'd probably turn up, but he's got to throw a shocker in at one point. And if we're going,
I think he's developed into a really, really solid chaser. Anyway, that's the 1-2 for the Queen Mother. On to the stayers. Similar story, in my opinion. Teahupu also enjoyed his Christmas dinner whilst watching everything else unfold. Home by the Lee, your mate, won nicely at Leopardstown, but what did he beat? I'm not sure. It was top-class opposition. Crambo won at Ascot. That was a race that he's won before after being off the boil. Is that just his race, or can he do it at Cheltenham? Lucky Place, who we've been backing the last 2 times at Ascot and then at Cheltenham, ran a nice race. And Nico said the next step for him is definitely to step up in trip. So can he step up in grade from his last run and step up in trip? And then the other, we might as well throw in this kind of picture we're making, is Hidden Valley Lake, who was second to Crambo at Ascot on his first start of the season. Do we have a strong opinion? Is there value because Teahupu is 6-4 to be found in the each way markets, or have you given up on anything bar the favourite winning?
No, I've been pretty happy with Teahupu, and all I can see is the price retracting, and all you're hoping is that you've got a bigger price on Home by the Lee or Lucky Place or something, and hoping that the favourite doesn't go or stands on a stone or goes to somewhere else. I think Teahupu is just absolute solid. It would probably be the, if you're doing your charity bet and someone gives you £1,000 for a shorty, that'd be the one. Crambo, look, we put him up last time. That was his Gold Cup when the race for the second year running. That was a hard race. Isn't up to this. So I would have Teahupu to beat Lucky Place. I'm a bit scared of the drift because the Nicky horses don't normally drift if they're going to the right place. It was 8s, then 10s, then 14s, and now best price 16 this morning. Step up in grade, step up in trip, but I'd have and Home by the Lee, as you said, what you beat last time. One of my old friends. But I think Teahupu just goes and gets this done. I mean, Langadan's in the race at 25s, but I've no idea what's going on with that horse. I know, obviously, it's he has ulcers, and he's a spring horse, and he won't settle, and you know what I mean. He just that's all you need to say about Langadan. Just look, wherever Langadan goes, you're on, aren't you? But
it would be interesting to see him in the stairs. It would be interesting. He loves to rally that horse and loves Cheltenham.
He wasn't being pushed. I mean, Dan Skelton's very quite open about certain things and where they're going because they've been on already, and he's not really said much about Langadan. And if I see him at the races, it will be a case of thanks so much for Langadan, great work on that. Where are we going next? I mean, like he's going to tell me, but wherever that horse goes, it's been set up for summer. But Teahupu, I hate to say it because it's obvious, and I'm wasting your time. But for the stayers, Teahupu for me, I think it's just nailed on.
Yeah, he looks rock solid, doesn't he? What would be the best each way bet then, if you're looking at the Lucky Places or even the Home by the Lee? But I mean, you're not nicking much profit, are you? But it might be nice to throw in a double. Who are the most likely to follow him home?
I would go Lucky Place. Lucky Place would be my 1-2, and then just looking down the list as we're getting into double, even triple figures. I'm really speculating on this. Really speculating. I mean, you're going down like Buddy One and stuff like that, and then you're going, I'm just, why am I back in a 66 or 80 to 1 shot, and high class heroes in here as well. You're going, I keep it really, really simple, and Tia Poo would be my anti-post bet because you're not getting that price on the day, and Lucky Place as well. I think Lucky Place will go off single figures on the day, and that'll be my 1-2 in this.
That'd be your 1-2. Cool. I'd have to agree. Tia Poo's rock solid. Lucky Place, I do think is an improving horse, and hopefully will improve again for a step up in trip. I'd probably give a shout to Hidden Valley Lake potentially to get in the places as well. I thought he ran a nice race at Ascot, was closing all the time, didn't quite get there, and Crambo found a touch more. But with that being only his first start of the season, I could see him putting in maybe a decent performance. So that will be my 1-2-3. Tia Poo 1, Lucky Place 2, Hidden Valley Lake 3. I think that's being harsh on Home by the Lee, but with him sat second in the market, I don't really want to throw him in there. So that would be my 1-2-3. Where
No, I've been putting up Home by the Lee last 3 times, or last 3 years rather. But I think a lot of the time it's not been massively a fluke. I'm not sure what he's beat. That's for me. I would overlook that, and he can win. He can win for me because I'm not on at the stupid fancy prices.
Okay, your 1-2-3 quickly.
1-2-3. If it happens tomorrow, Tia Poo, Lucky Place. Do you know what? I'll have to put Home by the Lee in third. Because everything else I'm looking at and going, I'm only putting it in because it's a stupid price and it's a horse you've heard of. And I'm not sure. So many of them just won't go, but Home by the Lee will 100% go there.
Home by the Lee, cool. Seems fairly universal that Crambo is probably not going to be the Stayers Hurdle winner. Right then, the Gold Cup.
Do you know what? This is brilliant. I do like it when we've got such a shorty. It was super impressive. And I've never been Galopin Des Champs massive fan. I know you have, but it just reminds me a bit of Alboom Photo. There's certain horses that I really like. Your Denman or whatever. I really like these horses, and there's certain horses that I just go, yeah, whatever, and we'll go on to win maybe 3 Gold Cups. And Alboom Photo, brilliant horse, but they just don't do anything for me. It's not the boring.
What?
It just doesn't do anything for me. Absolutely superb. But
how can Galopin Des Champs not doing it? How can Galopin Des Champs be compared to Alboom Photo? Alboom Photo used to go for a whip round Tremor and then turn up in the Gold
You know what I mean?
Cup.
It's like
Des Champs goes to the Savills, the John Durkin. He'll go to the Dublin Racing Festival. He'll turn up in everything.
The people on the street. People on the street. You're talking about.
They want Des Champs.
People have heard of Corto Star and Best Mate and stuff like that. Alboom Photo. I mean, whatever. Galopin Des Champs.
No. Alboom Photo is not in the same category. He used to go to Tremor. And
all right, so it's a game of opinions. You're having a go, and I know you like Galopin Des Champs. I love watching the horse. But it doesn't get me excited, right? You're telling me you wouldn't prefer to watch Francais at the King George almost win it 2 out as opposed to Galopin Des Champs?
I'd much rather have been at Leopardstown when he pinged that last and just motored, found a bit more.
You're rocking now. Unbeatable then, unbeatable in the Gold Cup.
I think so. He's done it twice.
What did you think Fact to File then in there? Because I think I put a Fact to File just so the younger legs and whatever. What was your thoughts on Fact to File? Was there excuses?
I think he got put in his place. No, I think he got put in his place. Probably the shorter trip in the John Durkin potentially. Well, we obviously know that it doesn't suit Galopin Des Champs, but slightly younger horse with a bit more speed who did put in a massive performance last year. Over 2 miles 5 was it when it was only a 2-horse race, but maybe just 3 miles. And then you've got to think about the Gold Cup, the extended 3 miles. I think he gets put in his place by a tougher, older stayer. So for me, I think he's out the question. And could even run in the Ryanair. You never know. Like, you may drop him back in trip because he's obviously very good at that trip. which means Galloping de Champs has beaten his main challenger for me. Jerry Colombe, obviously, as you've mentioned, will be in the mixer. Is a consistent horse. Again, an older, tougher horse. Monty Star. I know Matt's quite a fan of him. He might represent some value at 25 to 1. And then you have some, that were beaten over the period that are now really big prices if you're looking for each way value. Spillance Tower obviously didn't show up as we'd like him to. Banbridge, you'd be surprised to see him go up in trip again. Corbett's Cross, Grey Dawning was beat at the first fence in the King George when he clattered that. Ile Francais, who knows, Long Press, 40 to 1. Now we're getting juicy if we're looking for each way value. There you go. I've just almost gone top to bottom in the market. Galloping de Champs is unbeatable. Long Press should not be 40 to 1 after his run in the King George. Anything I said there, just prick your ears, anything go, oh, I like that.
Yeah, I agree with Long Press. I'm getting best price of 50 to 1 here. I'm looking at that. Look, this is a real race. If you don't fancy the favourite or you're looking to nick some place money, these prices will not be available on the day. You know that. Last year, so many the proper Irish lads and all the previews were all about Monty Star, all over Monty Star. Currently, you can get 25 to 1 on Monty Star, right? Grey Dawning, 33 to 1, right? 33 to 1. Look, I've never trained a horse. Dan Skelton's probably the best trainer in the country on his day. I thought it was wrong to run Grey Dawning in the King George. I'm not after timing. I said that beforehand. After the really hard race, and there's a Betfair chase, wasn't it? Really, really, really hard race. I wouldn't have done that, but I see why. I see why he did it, but it wouldn't have been for me. If Grey Dawning's now put away, massaged every day, borrow the Nicky Henderson Kling film, Grey Dawning could run a monster race. And Jerry Colombe, I was listening to Jamie Codd speak about Jerry Colombe, second last year, and you go, there's not a lot between Jerry Colombe and Galloping de Champs. Do you not reckon?
I'll tell you.
Well, 1 6 to 4. Right. There's 1 6 to 4 and 1 6 to
3 and a half lengths. 3 and a half lengths between them.
Right. Can you get Jerry Colombe out the first 3? After last year's performance, there's horses that you're always looking for one that will run into a place, like a Brave Man's Game type horse from different years. When we go, big prize could run into a place. Hewitt, big prize could run into a place. Jerry Colombe could not only run into a place, could win this, Really forgotten horse.
I do agree. He does deserve to be in there. I mean, he's third favourite in the market, albeit 14 to 1. So it's not a bad each way price. If you're talking about your each way doubles and trebles, like you said at the top of the show, he probably is one that's fairly solid to go in that. But then again, a Gold Cup is a Gold Cup. It's a tough test, and a lot can happen. So hence why you get slightly better prices in it. One that we haven't mentioned, just quickly, Spillance Tower went off favourite for the King George, was well backed after his second in the John Durkan. Arguments obviously that the King George didn't suit him. Now, would he be able to throw his hat in the mix? We talk about Factor File. He was only within half a length of Factor File in the John Durkan. Factor File's then subsequently been beaten. I know less of a battering than Spillance Tower got, but they're very different prices. Very different prices. Would you think Spillance Tower's got a chance in the Gold Cup, or do you think his run in the John Durkan was as good as it's going to get for him?
I think that's as good as it's going to get. But you could back both of the 3 JP horses, really, couldn't you? Because you got to get them in the frame. And Corbett's Cross is what, 40s, Spillance Tower 33s, Factor File 92. I've got Factor File in my top 3, but not.
Okay, give me a top 3. Give me a top 3.
And please don't shout at me.
I might.
Don't shout at me. And I'm really, really not fishing. I'm looking to get some value and not just doing that whole thing of putting up big prices. Because, right, third place, Factor File. Second place, Grey Dawning.
Oh, it's all gone wrong.
First place, Jerry Colombe. Jerry Colombe brings Factor File, and where's Galloping de Champs? At some point, he's got to run a shocker. Might not turn up. That's all I'm. That's all I'm doing. I'm mythically, Galloping de Champs is the best horse in the race. We're going for the third Gold Cup, yeah?
All right. Well, everyone knows where where my opinion lies. I think Galopin Des Champs is going to cement himself as a hero. He's going to be paraded around Ireland. His name will be remembered forever, Joel. People just need to get as old as you, and then he'll be talked about like folklore. But he's still young. He's still racing at the moment, so he hasn't quite hit legendary status. But he will when he wins his third Gold Cup. He's one for me. I'll agree. I think Jerry Colomb can run a big race, and I'm going to stick him in second. And then I'm going to have Lon Press just because I think he's a big price. He finished fourth in the Gold Cup previously. He ran a huge race in the King George on his comeback. I'd like to see him in the frame in third. That'll be my 1, 2, 3. Right, before we close off, I know we have taken a while on these 4 races, but there's so much to chat about. Is there anything that you'd like to be backing right now? It can be an each way value bet. It can be getting stuck into a favourite because you think it's time. Is there anything we've spoke about that you'd quite like as a bet?
No, Ilafronte at Aintree. I'm hoping that Ilafronte now skips Cheltenham and goes to Aintree. I think Aintree will really suit. I said at the start of the show, and again, it's out there. Jerry Colomb and State Man in a little each way double, both at double figure prices. I can't see either of them being out the frame. I think that's really exciting for me. If you can get Antipost 4 places for the Gold Cup, I think Lon Press, as you said, would be a good one. And if you win a few quid on the football or whatever, and you start giving your tenors and 20 quids like I was doing with the Lefronce, what's the shorty that's not going to get beat? I mean, I know you're talking about Constitution Hill, but there is one more. And what would that shorty be?
Teahupoo.
Yeah.
And
I think,
I agree. I suppose
I think that on the day that's going off odds on. It's going off odds on, and we'll get it turns up, it wins. I mean, we're not talking a 20-1 shot. We're talking 13-8. But last few weeks, we talked about this before Christmas, and it was like 5-2, 3-1, and you're going, it'll get shorter. It'll get shorter. So yeah, that's from me. I mean, Teahupoo just wins if it turns up. That's it.
I agree. We're probably not quite there yet to start backing favourites, but you want to bet you have a few quid on the your Teahupoos, your Galopin Des Champs, those sorts of certainties. You can start just topping up on a little bit. Yeah, I don't think at this stage there's a value bet which I'm going mad about. Lon Press probably stands out as the most overpriced we've spoken about, and potentially Hidden Valley Lake in the stairs. I think 16s isn't a bad price, but nothing's really going to change for the time being. So I'm not saying go and have your £5 on just yet. That's all for the 4 championship races. That was good fun. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll have our punters guide this Friday. Touch wood, if there's racing due to the weather on Saturday, please give us a good weekend's racing. We're all in dying need in the miserable month of January. And then after that, on Monday, regardless of what happens on the weekend, we will have all of the novice chasers and novice hurdlers from the Christmas period to talk about for the road to Cheltenham. So there's plenty to get stuck into either way. That was good fun. Galopin Des Champs is going to win the Gold Cup, and we'll see you next time.